James, I had the feeling this morning that we might be seeing a similar sort of day unfold to the last one at Trent Bridge, and so it turned out to be 5 wickets. Was the same story there as well?
Yeah, it was, Marty. Again, it's another game where we'll put ourselves in with that opportunity to win on the last day. And look, opposition are allowed to play like that. They batted superbly throughout the day, particularly that partnership with Madsen and Critchley, who are arguably their two top batters in the side. And it proved very hard to get 10 wickets on the last day. There's been a sense of discovery, I think, with the new Riverside pitch. It's been a pretty good wicket to bat on. We've seen all sorts of records fall in this game, so I think it's good discovery for us moving forward, particularly for the rest of the season on with how perhaps the Riverside might play this summer.
Yeah, I mean, the use of the heavy roller on the final day as well makes a difference, doesn't it, these days?
Yeah, it does, and we spoke about it in the pre-match for this game. The weather around the UK has been really good. It has been cold, but it's been dry, so there's been plenty of runs being scored around the country, and that hasn't changed here at Riverside this week, and it might be the case for the next few weeks if there is no bad weather around. So we've got to think of ways and strategize on ways on how to take 20 wickets particularly.
Yeah, is it back to the drawing board or just to stick with what you know? Because, I mean, there's been plenty of positives. You've not really been behind in these games. The Nottinghamshire game, you were in front for 2 or 3 days. This one you were. There was a sting in the tail, obviously, at Essex, but there's been plenty of signs of encouragement. It's just trying to get those 10 wickets on the final day. Yeah,
you're spot on. It's been positive. We've led every game that we've played, and we just haven't got that win yet. And today was another one of those situations. So it's not necessarily back to the drawing board. It's just always looking for ways to be better, to seek little improvements, to ultimately win our first game in this championship year. So, we reevaluate after this game. We go back into a training week from tomorrow onwards, ready for Warwickshire on Thursday.
Yeah, Warwickshire have just won their second match of the campaign. They've beaten Essex, so that keeps things fairly steady at the top. You've had 2 draws and a defeat now. Derbyshire 3 draws. Notts have drawn again today. Worcestershire have drawn again today. So nobody's really getting away from anybody else other than Warwickshire, the first sides to 2 wins. Yeah,
look, it's still very early days in this conference. We're only 3 games into 10, so there is a little bit of jockeying for position and finding out the strengths and weaknesses of each other, and we'll probably know more once we've played a couple more games and everyone's played against each other, once. So we know that we've got Warwickshire here on Thursday, as you say. They've had a couple of wins, so they'll be high in confidence. But so will we, because we're delighted with how we're performing. It's just getting that win. Yeah.
And finally, you mentioned records on this ground this week. David Beddingham, 310 runs in the match, the first Durham player to get past 300. An incredible effort from him, an amazing performance, 257 in the first innings and a half century in the second.
Yeah, phenomenal. People always say that records are there to be broken, and he's broken one significant one this match. He's been in terrific form. It all started back at Trent Bridge a couple of weeks ago with 180 not out. And a 50 in that game as well. So he's in top form. I guess the challenge is for him now to try and keep that going, continuing it on. We can't forget Chris Rushworth. He's now second on the list to Graham Onions in the all-time record bowling wicket-taking list with another 5 for this game. So, and lots of other contributions throughout this game as well. I think Jack Burnham is continuing to show form with another scoreless game. Alex Lees has got some good runs this game. So it's nice to see there are contributions right throughout.
Okay, great. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Hi, Frankie. I've just got a couple of questions.
Yep.
We've seen this sort of pattern emerge at the start of seasons where it's either you're working, you've not quite been in control, and on this occasion you have been in control of games. You've not had the killer instinct or the cutting edge. I mean, how can you cultivate that cutting edge that you need to turn those draws into wins?
Yeah, it's probably the question that we're trying to find the answer to be honest with you, because I can't fault effort, I can't fault performance. As I've already said to Marty, you know, in all 3 games that were played, but the first 3 days of each game, we've led the game, and it's just that cutting edge that you're talking about. So that's the answer we're trying to find. And, you know, is it something that we look at within the balance of the 11? I don't know. It's something that we talk about as selectors after every game, and make sure that we are confident with the 11 that we put out there. You know, not forgetting that this is the first game that we've had at home on the Riverside, and it is a new square, it is a new pitch in terms of the soil profile. So there's been an element of trying to work out how this pitch would play this week, and I think through the season there'll be an element of that as well. But if this is the new norm for the Riverside, you know, I think the real challenge, which previously probably hasn't been a challenge at the Riverside, is to work out how you get 20 wickets.
Scott had a nice spell. He got deployed. He seemed to get a bit of grip and a bit of turn. Do you think that's something you could look into the future, perhaps giving him more license to have a bit more of a ball?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, he's captain as well, so a lot of the time it's his feel out there on when the right time to use himself is. You know, we've got a really good battery of fast bowlers that he's got at his disposal, and he's trying to pick the right time to introduce himself into the attack. He has taken wickets already throughout the first 3 games, and some crucial wickets at really good times. So it's always that balance. You know, he's new to captaincy, so it's trying to understand for himself when he uses himself, because, you know, he is a quality leg spinner. He's got a good first class record as a spinner, not just as a batter. So yeah, it's something that we will continue to strategise about of when he is used.